Ooh, we're live. It took me a few minutes to be able to get on. I tell you, I tell you. Every time I come into YouTube, there is something that's changed about the process to be able to get live online. So it always takes me a few minutes longer. Thank you for hanging with me. Right, so I'm in here again at the start of the month, like I do at the start of every month. And the reason why I'm here today is because in the My Incredible Orbit community, Academy community, we are about to dive into a month of exploring, and we're going to be doing 3 sessions and some type of exercises, some type of process that we're going to be moving through. And the reason for that is because it's December. And by the time we get to December, traditionally, we find that people are pretty exhausted. You're really just kind of holding your energy levels together quite often to the end of the year, hanging out for a little bit of time off. If you've got kids or you have kids around you, then usually their tensions are quite high, their energy levels are low, they've done a big year. And what I found in the first couple of years of doing these kinds of powerful healing sessions in the academy is that when we got to December, by doing just the sessions alone, it quite often was just a little bit too intense for people. And we needed a softer way to be able to navigate this month. The other thing is that for whatever reason, quite often we have new members coming in and feeling like that is the best time for them to join the My Incredible Orbit Academy in December, January, and right through to February. So quite often in that December time period, they're joining when they are perhaps not feeling their best and they're feeling like that they want the support and that this is the best place for them to get what they need and to have their needs filled, which is wonderful. But it can be, because the academy is so big and there is potentially so many options of what you can go and look at and swim around and learn from and listen to and watch, and people to get to know, and conversations in the forum to contribute to. It can be not only exciting but also a sensory awakening when you jump in during that time. And when you're doing it in December, January, when the tensions and the stressors are sometimes pretty big, then it can be a lot. And then diving into this understanding of, this community gets together and does 3 powerful sessions, one after each other, over 3 weeks. And that there are massive shifts and releases that occur from that, because that's what we're intentionally asking for. That's what we're looking for, is change, to shift out of who we were into who we are better designed to be, and to get parts of the body mind complex working a lot better. And so what I found was that in those first couple of years, there was new people coming in and then kind of saying, oh gosh, there's so much to see, there's so much to do, and I'm kind of feeling a little bit overwhelmed then with the sessions and everything as well. And I agree. Like, it's different for me. I'm the facilitator. I've been doing this for years and years and years. And so I am looking at it and doing it all from a very different perspective. But from the perspective of an orbiter coming in, and then it there being their experience of their healing and transformation journey, that's a different thing altogether. So what I decided to do was to pretty much change up the way that we do things. And December is quite different. So it is very deliberately part session, And sometimes what that might look like, and there is no hard and fast rules about what that's going to look like. We very much let that be as an organic process as we possibly can. We really turn it over to everyone's individual innate wisdoms to come together as a collective and then bring forth the priorities. In other words, we let everyone's innate wisdoms come together as a collective and then say, this is what the priorities are. This is what we need to do for the month. This is how we're going to run these processes that we do together. So in the past, sometimes what they've been is we start off and it might be a part session. And that session might go for 10, 15 minutes. And then what comes up as a priority is some type of perhaps topic or concept that we are just to bring into our awareness and ponder, consider. And it's always something really relevant to, you know, what we're going through or what it relates to for the year. So the series of sessions, the whole theme agenda for December is reconciliation. That's what it is. So the idea that I had behind this was so that we were able to do reflection, review, and release. So quite often, the things that are coming up in the sessions are centered around that. That's what the innate wisdom is focusing on. What happened throughout the year that we need to be able to reconcile in order to be able to not only really feel as though we have reconciled that year, we've met it face on, we've come to terms with it, we've understood it, we've moved through it, but it puts us in the best position possible to start a new year, and we are not dragging unnecessary stressors or trauma or blockages into a new year, into a new orbit. Okay, so sometimes it's going to be part session, and that session might be 10 minutes long, it might be 30 minutes long. And quite often what Innate has done in the past few years has brought up for our attention some little exercises to perhaps do. And I was just, thinking earlier today, what are some of the ones that we've done in the past? And I'm going to go through two now that I know that we've done in the past. I just simply don't have the time. And you don't want to listen to me sitting here going through all the ones that we've done in the past. But these are a couple that we've done in the past that you might be able to do. These couple that I'm going to go through, there is no guarantee that these are the couple of exercises or suggestions that our innate wisdom is going to bring up as part of these sessions together. So it may come up, it might not come up. There might be totally new concepts to look at, exercises to go through. The whole idea is that you really get this sense and feeling of completion, that we're reviewing, we're doing some reflection, we're completing, and that we're releasing. Because you don't want to be carrying this around. And look, this is not a normal year. When we did reconciliation in 2019, reconciliation in 2018 and 2017, those years came with their own trials and challenges for everyone individually. But we are, last year and this year, going through this gigantic shift of consciousness for all of us. And so not only we have our own individual experiences that we're navigating, but we have collective experiences that we're all having. So for us to come into December and really come into it from the intention of reconciliation, it's so important. It's so important. because these types of events that we're going through have the potential to really cause not only enormous stress within the body-mind complex that then could potentially turn into all sorts of imbalances within the body, within the mind, within our energies, within the spirit, where people get really traumatized and really conflicted and very disassociated from themselves. But it can and will manifest then as illnesses and diseases, and some of those will be extremely significant, life-changing, or even maybe even life-ending. So the ability to do reconciliation and do it from the perspective of not letting our egos run the reconciliation process, but rather asking the innate wisdom, what is the most important thing that we need to do, that I need to do as an individual and we need to do as a collective to reconcile this yearly cycle that we've just been through. And then the innate wisdom will not only make that very clear what it is that we need to do, it'll bring up the priorities, it'll show us how that is reflected in the body-mind complex, and it will start the shifting, the repairing, the healing process within the body-mind complex. So it's super effective, and even though I do get towards this end of the year and I'm pretty exhausted, I still look forward to this, and I really love it just the same. Uh, Speaking of being exhausted, I don't think I'm no different to really anyone else at the moment. It's been a lot, and it's been big, and clients have needed an enormous amount of support for many different reasons. But one of the things that I do is I get to the end of the year, and this is my December process that I always do, and I reflect on the entire year. And you have to carve out the time to do this. It's not the type of thing that you can really do while you're sitting having coffee with a friend, although some good insights can come up from that. However, there is really great wisdom to be gained from being able to sit in some stillness, perhaps on your own, maybe in nature or next to the beach, underneath a tree, wherever it is, and set the intention of, I'm going to reflect over the year, and I'm going to do a bit of a scan throughout the year and look at it from my perspective of how I experienced that year. And I want to be able to identify what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And I want to be able to identify then if I can see the things that didn't work for me, whether they be things that were uncomfortable or caused me a lot of stress, or things that I reacted to a lot, whether there were connections, relationships, things going on that really didn't serve me well. So with all things that didn't work for me, what am I going to do about that? What do I have within my power to be able to change that? And quite often when I do this review process, I find that there is a lot that I can do to change it. And some of the biggest changes that I've made, not just from a personal perspective, but from a business perspective, is how I do professionally this December, January period of my life. Because I do tend to get to December and I just hit exhaustion, like massive levels of exhaustion, because quite often we get to December and then it hits people, oh my gosh, there's going to be a period of time where I won't be able to have any sessions, and so I need to try and rush in and have sessions. So quite often I'm just book solid for months on end, and there's just a never-ending kind of I was going to say flourish, but is that even a word, flourish? I'll have to look that up. stream of people saying, can I have a session? Can I have a session? Can I have a session? And often we're just saying, no, 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 there's nothing left. And doing really big days, because just because you're doing sessions and you can control the amount of sessions that you do, and that's something, again, that's been part of my review process, realizing that's far too many, I need to cut it back, this is what I can manage, because on the outside of doing sessions, I've still got a business to run. And I'm a mum, right? And I'm a single mum. So then I have an entire kind of like household and life that I'm responsible for. So some of my greatest insights have come from that ability to be able to do that review process, where I can look back and say, what worked for me and what didn't? What worked for me, I want to harness that. I want to increase that. And I want to try to do more of that if I can. And if it's appropriate, right? Just because it worked for me doesn't mean I need more of it, okay? And for things that don't work for me, is it now time to get rid of it? Do I actually need it? Can I lessen it? Is that something that needs to be removed out from my life at that time? Can it be brought back in at another time? And if you do that from the perspective of, I'm the one that runs this ship. I'm the one that's in control. I'm the only one that has the ability to be able to change this. No one's going to come in and do it for me. I am the master of my reality, but also my destiny. So doing it from that perspective really can dramatically then change not only how you felt about the year, because now you've done a review and you're like, look what I learned. Look what I learned. And you get that sense of achievement and accomplishment. And then you're able to start putting some of that, what you've learned, you digest it, it integrates and becomes wisdom. But now that's part of your power. And you're going to take it forward with you, and you're going to use it to design how you want 2022 to be, or the next year to be, whenever you're watching this. So I would highly recommend doing a little bit of a review. And that is one thing that our collective innate wisdoms has actually brought up as being a bit of an exercise in the past. And every single time we have done that, it has been a really kind of revolutionary thing to go through, because you can get to the end of the year and feel so exhausted, you just want to collapse, you don't want anything more to do with it, especially if it was a stressful period of time, which it has been for, I don't know anyone where it hasn't been stressful for them. We're so conditioned, unfortunately, to move away from that, almost to have the mindset of, oh, thank God that's over. I don't even want to look at that ever again. And then just move on into the next year, hoping that it's going to be a better year. Doesn't work. It doesn't work, because you haven't reconciled it. We haven't addressed it. It is the most important thing to do, is to look at these things and to lean into them, to understand what it is that you need to learn from them, and then to take that understanding and convert it into your personal power, make decisions, make changes, ask for help, get help if you need it, so that you can have a different experience and a different outcome next year. So that's one of the things that, as I said, had come up in the past that we'd all done. And it's very important that you don't just make your list and then leave it, that you make changes from it that are going to be beneficial from you. And also, don't ask somebody else, oh, what worked for you last year? What didn't work for you last year? And take somebody else's ideas. Don't say to somebody, oh, this thing happened to me last year and it didn't work well for me. What would you do? Right? What works for somebody else is not going to be what works for you. That's where you need to really connect in deeply with your instincts and your intuition, and trust your ability to know what it is to be able to do. So quite often somebody says to me, well, Jackie, how do I know what then is the best thing for me to do? It'll feel good. right? When you sit with, if you've got several decisions or several options in front of you about this, you've identified this thing that you did last year or that was coming up for you constantly. You can see clearly it didn't work for me. It brought me a lot of stress. I don't like it and I don't want it there. Anything that causes you a lot of stress is not something that deserves to be in your life. So that would be something that you consider, how do I change that? Because it needs to change. So let's say you're in that position and then you say to yourself, right, how then can I change that? What are my options? And you have, say, 3 options that you've identified are in front of you. And now the left brain wants to get involved with, oh, but all of these options and what do I do? And I'm so confused and la, 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 right? Left brain loves to do that. Don't let it do that. Say, shh, pipe down. You're going to really tap into your felt sense, your sense of touch, which is your felt sense in your body. And you're going to connect in with this first option. And you're going to really say to yourself, if I went with this option, if I said yes to that, if that then was part of my life, if I was doing that, how does that feel to me? Does it feel good? Does it feel not so great? Or does it feel, no, I don't like it. Something doesn't feel right. Do the same thing with the second one. Do the same thing with the third one. The one that feels good, when you connect in with it, it feels right. And you don't have to understand why it feels right. Sometimes you might understand, but if you don't understand why it feels right, then that's where you've got to trust, because that is your instinctual, intuitive systems really making it brutally clear to you that is the right decision to make, that is the right option. And the more comfortable and more often you get with trusting that, the easier the process gets, where you just do it in a second like that. You'll be right. That's the one that feels good. That's one that I'm going with. If you have an option in front of you and it does not make you feel good, it is not the right option for you. So that would be my suggestion, because I get asked that a lot, and it is always it always pays off when you do it that way. One of the other exercises that has come up for us in the past is, actually, I might do that in a separate video. I might actually bring some of these together, like ways to be able to reconcile a year. I might bring it together. I'll put it into its own separate video so that you can find it, and I'll release it perhaps in a few days' time, maybe the earlier next week. If you have like any questions that have come up from today, if it sparked any ideas for you, any issues for you, then pop it into the comments, because it would be great to have a conversation about that, perhaps find some solutions. But my biggest suggestion is, if this resonates with you and you're kind of feeling like a supportive community that gives you not only, kick-ass healing sessions, but a library of resources and workshops and courses and interviews and stuff like that, then this quite possibly is going to be the community for you, especially as we wrap up this year and we dive into next year. It's a journey that you take for a whole year. It's a whole year. Nothing less. You don't have to do any more. It's just a whole year, okay? And you can find that out by using the link that is in the comments. It's at JacquieMcIntyre.com, and the page that you're looking for is My Incredible Orbit. Right. So for the My Incredible Orbit Academy, as a member, you'll be going into your academy, or you'll be using your app on your phone to be able to go into the forum and into events, and you'll see all the dates and the times that are listed for the series of sessions that we're going to be doing and the exercises. I like it because it brings kind of like a light-hearted, fun, creative aspect to the sessions that we perhaps wouldn't normally do. So I do really look forward to doing this. And for those members, you will have seen that the entire outline of sessions and their agendas or the concepts that we're going to be covering for the whole year next year is now released, including especially for the first half of the year, January to June. I've outlined all the dates and the times for those so that you can go ahead and RSVP to them and also put them in your own calendar so you don't miss any of them. Okay, I feel like I'm done. I'm going to bring together some better, kind of like a better format for you so that you can use this reflection, release, reconciliation process for yourself, bring together some ideas. Yes, you can do this for the end of the year, but really you can do this for anything at all. You can do it at the end of a relationship. You can do it at the end of a holiday. You know, you can do it at the end of if you're leaving a job or a career and about to move into another one. It's great to be able to complete and finish off a process. Okay. I look forward to seeing you next time, and have a great evening wherever you may be in the world right now or the rest of your day, and we'll talk really soon. Bye for now.